We have some judges making some good decisions for a change here today. As you can see in the middle of the screen, New York Times used deceptive disinformation to smear Project Veritas, acted with reckless disregard and malice, a judge rules. So guess what? This one's going to trial. It's not getting dismissed as much as New York Times would have liked that, and they're going to have to face the music, and you love to see it. Listen, when it comes to suing people who think that Project Veritas has done them wrong, one side has a spotless record and the other is mainstream media. There you go. A defamation suit from Project Veritas against the New York Times is moving forward, as a judge has ruled the newspaper posed opinion as fact in their coverage of the conservative news outlet. The New York Supreme Court judge, this one's from New York, and we have another opinion from somebody in Washington, D.C., so I don't know what the hell is going on with some of these courts out there, but they're starting to come to their senses. Handed Veritas, known for its undercover and whistleblowing videos, a big win this week, allowing a defamation suit against the paper and two reporters to proceed forward. In the ruling denying a motion to dismiss the suit, the Times was accused of acting with actual malice and reckless disregard in multiple articles covering the 2020 video report from Veritas on alleged illegal voting practices taking place in Minnesota, the ones involving Ilhan Omar. It was not the only voter fraud allegation Veritas covered in 2020, and I tried to as well, and this is the one I think that led to my first strike on the channel. Cocksuckers. If one video expose actually leading to the arrest of a Texas political consultant on charges of election fraud and illegal voting. Yeah, the one that Ken Paxton ended up arresting the guilty party over. That lawsuit, I don't know if it's gone anywhere so far, but the lady running the entire op, yeah, she got busted for that. So, hey, good work by Project Veritas, and I love the fact that it's actually going forward. In the Minnesota video, those videos are still up because they were prior to the election, so YouTube was they're kind enough to leave those up, and they might be on the Rumble page, but I'm not too sure. In the Minnesota video, multiple people are seen taking in part or discussing ballot harvesting and linking it to Representative Ilhan Omar. The report alleges ballots were being paid for and filled out for voters to have them favor certain candidates. Yes, and as you can see here, this dude right here, Liban Osman, has since claimed footage of him was heavily edited, and he was offered money to connect the alleged fraud to Omar. And yeah, we watched the videos. They're still out there. You can do that yourself if you'd like. There doesn't look like there's any coercion from Project Veritas on this dude's behalf. He's been running this gig for several election cycles already, so looks like he's just sorry he got caught, not that he actually committed any crime. So yeah, as chicken shit as the Supreme Court was for not taking up any election cases, it looks like the circuit courts, the state courts, are actually going to start doing their job. I hope Project Veritas takes New York Times to the cleaners because, well, I don't know the last time that they did anything of note or anything that was terribly important. The last thing that I can remember them doing is exposing John Weaver of Project Lincoln, or Lincoln Project rather, of being a total creep, who everybody's known for at least the past 20 years and could have potentially led to the early plug being pulled on John Kasich's 2016 run, because information about him potentially being a little bit more involved in Weaver than everyone first thought might have been coming out. But that's neither here nor there. New York Times is just a propaganda outlet at this point, and any kind of good journalism that they actually do is a day late and a dollar short. But they have the ear of the Democratic Party. Even the Republicans keep a close eye on them, make sure that whatever they report, and then immediately have to come out and debunk it, along with the Atlantic, CNN, pick three letters. They probably got the ear of somebody important, which is why this one is kind of weird, but it's kind of good that somebody's pointing this out. Federal judge alleges Democrats are close to controlling all major news outlets, which we'll get into this, but I got a couple of theories on this, why he wants to declare this as such. A federal judge said this week said that the Democratic Party is close to controlling the press, as he detailed that he described as a shocking bias against Republicans. I'm glad this guy woke up. D.C. Circuit Court Judge Laurence Silberman outlined his opposition to the Supreme Court's key decision in 1964 in Times v. Sullivan, which has protected many media outlets from lawsuits. That, and along with Section 230, are the main reasons why mainstream media gets to run roughshod over everybody else with an independent voice. Silberman, a Reagan appointee, not quite as bad as the judge who was appointed by Carter in the Amazon v. Parler original lawsuit, but still been around for a while. There's no Supreme Court judges that have been appointed by anybody older than HW, wrote that the ruling is a threat to American democracy and must be overturned. The increased power of the press is so dangerous today because we are very close to a one-party control of these institutions. I'm at least glad he woke up, but dude, this has been happening since the 60s. Our court was once concerned about the institutional consolidation of the press leading to a bland and homogenous marketplace of ideas. It turns out that ideological consolidation of the press helped along by the economic consolidation. This guy loves the word consolidation. He consolidated all of his consolidation synonyms into one consolidated word. Is the far greater threat, he continued. Although the bias against the Republican Party, not just controversial individuals, we all know who those are, is rather shocking today. This is not new. It is a long-term secular trend going back to at least the 70s. I'll argue the 60s, but okay, if you're going to acknowledge the fact that it's been going on for about 5 decades now, that is a start. Nobody else has. I do not mean to defend or criticize the behavior of any particular politician. 2 of the 3 most influential papers, at least historically, the New York Times and the Washington Post, are virtually Democratic broadsheets. Wow, that is a good take. It is a hot take. It's also a fair take. And the news section of the Wall Street Journal leans in the same direction. Oh yeah, but they gave their support to Trump in the previous election. Yeah, well, they've also run a fair few fucking hit pieces on conservative, or even just... I hate to use the term now because it's become so toxic, libertarian pundits as well. So the orientation of these 3 papers is followed by the Associated Press. Yes, the most large papers across the country, such as the LA Times, Miami Herald, and Boston Globe. Nearly all television, network, and cable is a Democratic Party trumpet. Can you argue against that? Even the government-supported National Public Radio, NPR follows along, yes. And I love the fact that he singled those out and pointed them out as well as being government-supported, which is code for government-funded because they receive government federal funding. The judge also expressed concern about the influence of big tech wields over how news is distributed, referencing how Twitter limited the spread of the New York Post article about President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. Silberman added that there are a few notable exceptions to the outlets he mentioned. Fox News, if he does a little bit of digging, he'll figure out who's on the board, what their ideological leanings are, who they donated over $1 million to in the previous presidential cycle, what direction they're leaning, because they are getting rid of everybody who's not named Hannity and Carlson, just showing where their bias is taking them. The New York Post, a lot of their coverage post-election is kind of straying back towards the center, so as good as they were for breaking and promoting the story regarding Hunter Biden's laptop, the rest of their coverage is a little bit sparse on fairness. In the Journal's editorial page. Oh, Wall Street Journals, yes. When I pointed out that Trump got the tacit endorsement, that's where it was from. Still mocked it, though, because just saying that the Wall Street Journal is a fine institution is a little bit short-sighted. It should be sobering for those concerned about news bias that these institutions are controlled by a single man and his son. Will a lone holdout remain in what is otherwise a frighteningly orthodox media culture? After all, there are serious effects to muzzle Fox News. And although startups, mainly online conservative networks, have emerged in recent years, Newsmax, OAN, their visibility has been decidedly curtailed by social media. Newsmax, one of those outlets is being put behind one of those scare screens on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it's Newsmax. But regardless, nobody likes Twitter, and it's dwindling in popularity as the days go on, because guess what? No orange man, no traffic, either by direct bans or content-based censorship. The George Mason University professor, which Laurence Silberman is residing, at least for the time being, until this story gets a little bit more mainstream traction, said in his book that he found the way outlets report more favorably on Democratic aides the party's candidates by 8 to 10% in a typical election. Jeez. Oh, I'm sorry. The author that Silberman was quoting in his opinion Tim Grosclose is the professor at George Mason University. My mistake. And then wrapping up, the First Amendment guarantees a free press to foster a vibrant trade of ideas, but a biased press can distort the marketplace. And when the media has proven its willingness, if not eagerness, to so distort, it is a profound mistake to stand by unjustified legal rules that serve only to enhance the press's power. You know why he's drawing these illusions? Mostly because there are certain things that can happen when you allege and when you can potentially prove, even though it is very difficult to prove, that, let's just say, one institution, one business or set of businesses work together, run the same narrative over and over again. They're able to bounce ideas off of one another in order to create a story. We've seen that multiple times with most specifically Marussia claims over the past 5 years, that they can just go ahead and craft the narrative, create the story, and run with what they want, not necessarily telling the truth, not having to tell the truth. And what can you do with those? Well, if they're all acting independently, there's nothing you can really do with that. But if you can draw the conclusions that they're all acting together, there are certain laws on the book. They're called antitrust laws, anti-monopoly laws. And you can use them to bust up big tech, mainstream media, so that things can go back to being a lot more fair-based, a lot more honest. Because it doesn't bother me that CNN exists. NBC, MSNBC, ABC, that's fine. If they were doing a good service, if they were doing a good job, that'd be wonderful. I would love to be able to use Twitter and Facebook if they weren't such censorious, evil, algorithmically shaped platforms. I just know that there's no future on them. And I also won't support sites that openly and expressly profit off of child pornography. I will not be a part of it. I guess that's me just being a little bit of a moralist busybody. If we see these businesses, these once great institutions get taken down by the likes of Project Veritas, and if Judge Silberman has the opportunity to gain more traction with his opinion, because we know Justice Clarence Thomas is really game to take on a new Section 230 case. It just needs the right one. There's reason to believe that something could be happening here, and it doesn't need any help from the very, very, very Democratic Congress, because the good thing about the courts, they're supposed to be independent, and we're seeing now, with the 21 states joining in to sue Joe Biden over the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, Texas suing successfully to halt the 100 days of amnesty at the border. Hasn't really worked out because now they're just letting people in all willy-nilly. But the courts are open to doing what's right by the Constitution, and that's all you can hope for. And if they can start holding the press accountable, that will solve so many big problems. Better late than never. Should have been done years ago, but it's a start. And with that said, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.